Hey, it's Kendrick with Technology Interpreters, and welcome to part 9 of the SentinelOne Endpoint Detection and Response Complete course. So today we're going to be talking about reporting. And so what I want to do is I want to make sure that we go through all the elements of the reports. You can see I've already generated one of each type of report. And so I'm going to go through it and make sure you understand the metrics. So let's go ahead and let's generate a report to start off. But before, I do want to recognize that we've got Daniel in here. Daniel was like the first person that I mentored in cybersecurity, and Daniel is now my teammate, doing an excellent job and killing it in the industry at this point. So Daniel, thank you, man. Glad to have you here hanging out with us today. And then also we've got Pierre and Jabari, who are currently part of the Cybersecurity Mentorship program. So if you're looking to hire some good talent, these guys are trained on the actual things pretty much that I do on the job. So anyway, you're looking for a placement for them. And then also got hanging out with me, it was one of our customers is Sam. So Sam's a network engineer, does a great job, and also has been here helping out with the mentees, teaching them networking and other things about the cybersecurity industry. So anyway, I do have a Discord. If you want the Discord link, it is in the description of this video. So let's go ahead and get into this. So we're going to start off with a report. We'll just call that report number 1. And then you can see you can choose insight reports. And what essentially it does is when you go here, you can choose your time zone. You can schedule this if you want this to run periodically, and you can choose your interval, like the first of weekly or the first of every month. And then once you do select your interval, you go next, and we'll go ahead and select the first every month. And you can put an email address in so you can have that report emailed to you automatically. I'm a big fan of, reports can be good once a month, but once again, if you're scheduling them too frequently, it becomes spam. You can also do insights by groups, and we covered groups. We covered the structure of SentinelOne in previous videos. And so you can schedule this to basically, you can schedule in everything like before, or run it one time, but you have to enter put the group name here. And once you put the group name, it will just report that same report, but with only for the particular group that you've outlined here. In addition to that, you have the mitigation and response insights, and we're going to go through these. I'll show you, and we'll talk about all of these in just a second. Applications insight. Application, a lot of times when you see SentinelOne kind of does an application inventory, and even does like what I would call a scaled down vulnerability assessment on the machine. So this is a good report. Threat insights. This is kind of threats that have been detected, actions that were performed on those threats, and other stuff related to threats and the history of it for a certain time period. And then vigilance, unfortunately, don't necessarily have that, but vigilance is SentinelOne's pretty much their MDR, managed detection and responses. Their SOC, their 24/7, 365 monitoring for threats. So, and I think it's a pretty cool service because you've got people who absolutely know the product who are now monitoring the product for you. So once again, a very smart move for SentinelOne to do that. So let's go ahead and let's open up some of the reports at this point, and let's just kind of go through it. And a lot of these I've downloaded already. So we're going to start off with executive insights. And let's just go ahead and open this one since we've already got it. It's going to open on another screen over here. So executive insights, and so you can see, and we were joking, this is at least the 4th or 5th time I hit the play button or the record button. So we talked about this in some of the previous takes, but no mitigated threats. So this is about the findings, right? So mitigated threats is something that we've identified, and you remember in some of the previous videos we talked about you can kill, quarantine, remediate, and what's the 4th step? We talked about it in many other videos, but I'll pull it up in just a second. But there's 4 actions that you can perform. So kill, quarantine, something, and remediate and roll back, I think is what it has listed as far as the 4 SentinelOne actions. Leave some comments in chat if I got that incorrectly. All right, and so then it gives you the percentage. So the total for the previous period. So now this report, just want to point out, this is for the period of 30 days. So a previous period refers to things prior to 30 days, right? So older than 30 days from now. This was starting on July 17th. So prior to July 17th, so we had 4 detections, and this is where we were basically using iCard to generate some alerts and stuff like that, and then walking through the process of mitigating those. But you can see there are none that are currently not mitigated, and there are 4 that we did mitigate it in the previous period. And then there were 0 that were marked as benign because it's iCar. So we know it's malicious, even though it's benign because it's a test file, but it's literally meant to mimic a malicious file. You can also see the users that are most at risk, the devices that are most at risk, and then users. So if you have your console divided up into groups based on maybe departments or function or whatever, you can identify, hey, those developers there, pick on the developers all the time. hey, they're most at risk. And the truth of the matter is developers tend to be most at risk right along with executives. And then as far as deployment, you can see the demographics. We got 9 agents installed, 8 Windows devices. Then it breaks it down to 6 desktops, 2 laptops, 1 Mac OS device, so of the 9. So that's your statistics, really just kind of your inventory. 1 new agent has been installed, 2 agents were removed, and the 8 devices were scanned. In addition to that, we can go to your deployment trend. So you can see 9 agents. We previously, in the prior to this 30-day period, had 8 agents, and then it gives you the trend, the up or down, right? So we went from 8 to 9 agents, so that's plus 12.5%. But if you look at the new agents, we actually went from 2 in the previous period prior to 30 days to 1. Daniel, you stop logging in. Y'all logging in the comments, so generate emails and stuff. So we were down 50% on that. So that's kind of, once again, that's the end of that report. Now what you'll see is for the executive insights by group, which is the second report on our list. It's the same thing, but I actually indicated a target group of technology interpreters, which is the group which is one of the subgroups in the console. And because it doesn't have any detections, it's literally the same report, but there is just nothing on the report because there were no detections. Okay. And so we will go with mitigation and response. We'll download the PDF on that one. And I think we've already got it. I'm just going to right click on that one, mitigation and response insights, open this one. And this is actions related to threats. Okay. So automatically mitigate. That means that SentinelOne, the one of the engines detected it and automatically went through the process of killing, quarantine, remediating, rollback, etc. Manually, that's where you actually can go in the console, and I showed those actions in previous videos. So make sure you're going through the entire series. You're gonna miss some true nuggets there, but you can do that manually on your own, and then not mitigated, which means it's there, but maybe it's in a group that's not set to do anything. You can not set to do anything. You can have policies set up in SentinelOne where you just monitor, you don't take action. And so maybe it's detected it, but it hasn't done anything to mitigate it. And so it would show up under that category. And then you got 0 of 0 automatically mitigated, manually mitigated. So it looks like, I don't know if this almost seems redundant. The trap, like the green, red over here. So not sure. I guess that gives you the, I don't know how this correlates. Do y'all see what I'm saying here? It seems like it's almost redundant. But I wish I had some data there.
Agreed.
To kind of figure it out. Yeah, it's something I'm missing there, but if we actually had some for this period, maybe we need to regenerate those reports and we can go through and check that out. So maybe it is good to do video multiple times because we didn't see that the first 3 to 5 times. All right, and then for the periodic trends, you can see that you also appointed the metrics, right? And these are things, think about this, these are kind of things you're reporting. Maybe it's for us, in my day job, we're reporting this to customers, this type of information they want to know. Maybe not the technical details. They typically want to know what's mitigated, how many detections there were, and stuff like that. But this is a good detail. So automatics, manuals, active threats. You definitely want to know if there are any active threats still. And then mitigation success. So you tried to kill and quarantine it, but it didn't kill it successfully and didn't quarantine it successfully. That's going to be failures. And so success would mean it will go through the entire process. All right. And then mitigated action. No mitigated actions were taken, but if there were, they would show up here. All right. So let's move on. So we've gone through that. Let's go to application insights. I know that's like one of the next one on the list. And so for application insights, we've got some good data. And this is where I was excited right here. So what this essentially is showing us is that, SentinelOne kind of does the application inventory that's pretty comprehensive of any device you have an agent installed on. And then it also does what I would call like a scaled down vulnerability scan on the device to detect. And but it doesn't give a lot of information on them, like the location of the files and stuff like that. Maybe you can find that in the future. But anyway, that being the case, there are key findings. There are 412. So 412 unique applications installed across all devices. And that's crazy because that's just in this little console that we use for training. Imagine if this is a console and I've got 100 companies or 1,000 companies in this console, how many unique applications are going to be there? That's good information to have. 250 applications were Windows, 162 on Mac, and then there were 0 Linux because we don't have any of those devices. And then you see over here in the small print, 106 new applications were installed during the report period. So for the last 30 days, we've been kind of ramping up and bringing stuff into the console. So, 106 devices within this period, 3 new applications were installed during the reporting period. So all right, so let's look at this. 106 new applications were installed during Windows. So that was Windows. This is Mac, saying that 3 new applications were installed, and then 160 applications were digitally signed by their publisher. So that's showing, I guess, the number of signed applications in the console. So then we see top 10 Windows applications of all time. Imagine that. Google Chrome. Right next to that, interesting, Microsoft Visual C++ redistributed. And you can see how many devices and stuff like that. So this is good, to kind of see exactly what the makeup is your environment. Microsoft Update for health tools. You got Edge right there coming in with a second and third, right? And then some OneDrive and stuff like that. So this is good insights. Top new Windows applications during the reporting period. Now let's see what's the difference. This is the top applications of all time. This is top new during the reporting period. Okay, we're pretty much the same culprits because our console is fairly new. Top Mac OS applications of all time. All right, you can kind of see what we got: Web Gallery, Freeform. Okay, install, and what is that? Install, just install. Okay, so top new Mac OS applications during the reporting period: Asana. So if somebody have Asana, Google Chrome, Microsoft Update. And what else do we have? We counted the top Linux applications of all times and top new applications. So essentially it does that. Looks like for every OS type, it gives a top of all time, and then it gives a top for the reporting period. And so now we get a chance to go into threat insight. So we did talk about the mitigation and response, which is the applications to address the threat. But now we get a chance to talk specifically about the threat itself. So we'll wait for a second for this to download. All right, looks like it said done. Okay, cool. So now we're in the threat insights. This actually, to me, looks like, so the threat insights report is a lot nicer. The other ones look a little bit, maybe we just didn't have enough data in them or something like that, right? So created on this time, 30-day period, same as always as before. And then, so we're showing not mitigated, no mitigated, no not mitigated. Interesting. So it's basically, so none that are mitigated is what that means. So which will be showing green, and you saw that in the console in previous videos. No not mitigated threats, which shows up here. And then when you mark them as benign, the shield turns gray. So no marked as benign. Incident status, and once again, I wish I had some data here to be more interesting, but incident status, we got basically unresolved, resolved. So even you take these mitigation actions, but these mitigation actions could be multiple threats on multiple machines, but if they're all correlated, or they tend to be correlated in SentinelOne as an incident, right? And so you could then have the chance to choose the status of the incident itself, so resolved, unresolved, or in progress. All right, and then we got malicious and suspicious. So these are actually, so unresolved, resolved, in progress, and then malicious and suspicious. And what else we got here? So the verdict, okay, and by the way, I didn't read that. So this is the confidence level, right? So make sure I cover that. And then the verdict, because this all directly correlates to actions you take in the console that I showed you on the Sentinels tab before. So you can have a true positive, false positive, suspicious, and undefined. Now here's one thing I want to note is, as we're going through this is also teaching you different categories and processes and stuff like that about incident response, right? Because you're learning incident response actions, analysis, verdicts, and stuff like that. These are different, literally different aspects, but you're learning more towards the tool. I equate this to more like instead of you going to a long course to talk or to read about being a blacksmith, this is you actually being more of an apprentice to a blacksmith, getting your hands on the tool and using the tool yourself. Now, you do need that higher level knowledge if you're going to be an incident response, but I'm just saying you need to also have a significant amount of time in tools, because it makes it real. It brings it home. And then you said initiated by the agent policy. Okay, so a policy that we created or that the agent has assigned to it, full disk scan, SentinelOne CTL. I'm not sure what that is. DV command, console API. I do know what this means. This correlates with some of the actions that we discussed in the previous video. I think that's on the Sentinels tab. I forgot what they abbreviated them here, but basically you can, like, a lot of the MSSPs probably will use APIs to be able to automatically detect stuff, correlate it, kind of do the security orchestration and then take action using the API application programming interface. Okay, or you can initiate a full disk scan on a machine. It basically is doing more of a static detection because it's looking for files that may be infected. And so agent policy is something you can configure also. Then detecting engines, we talked about that in the previous video. We talked about classification. That could be malware. It could be potentially unwanted application, PUAs. Once again, if you haven't looked at the previous video, I've said it enough. That's where this is just correlating with all that. Top devices at risk, top groups at risk, sites at risk. And remember the hierarchy. I talked about the SentinelOne hierarchy: global, account, site, group. Okay. And then also top indicators. Right here you got your indicators, and it will show you the indicators of compromise that would be in this report. And so that covers your threat insight. And then finally, your vigilance verdict, which unfortunately that's not something I can show you the report, but I don't have vigilance. So I'm not sure how much I'll get out of it, but let's go ahead and open the report. Once again, I always say if the risk is low, what do you got to lose? Okay. So for vigilance, no active threats, no mitigated threats, no suspicious threats. You get a nice little chart there. So 0 vigilance. I don't know what that means. Reporting period. 0 other users. So I'm assuming users who are monitored through vigilance. 100% other users because we don't have vigilance. So that makes sense. And then threat actions trend. So you can see resolved, annotated. That I guess that's when they add notes to it. Marked as benign. So this is essentially like seems like more of the SOC actions that it's showing right there. Vigilance SLA. So we're talking about time periods, like how long, did it take for them to respond? So not mitigated and suspicious for the reporting period, for the previous period. Mitigated and blocked, kind of showing what the SOC has done or vigilance has done. Full resolution time averages. And so this is kind of telling you basically how long did they take to fix it. So vigilance first annotation time by analysts, referring to 90% of events as defined by the SLA and based on the threat status at the time of detection. Full disk events are classified as mitigated blocked for SLA calculation purpose. So that is going to be for the full disk scan. And then the vigilance first annotation. So I think this one is referring to potentially the actual people that are part of the vigilance product that are monitoring. Then no threats active by vigilance, no administrative activities by vigilance. So once again, and then it looks like you got an email address right there if you need to contact vigilance. Don't spam these people. Okay, don't do that. Don't be a bad actor. All right, and so that looks like it. Of course, you can do the results. You can load a report task. Not sure what that is. Have not played with that, and I think that's it. So we're still at 17 minutes, and I thought this was going to be a quick video. Anything? All right. So when it opens this up, everybody in Discord. Any questions, any comments, anything y'all want to share? Because I feel like there's good insight for others who may be watching this, who may be working to get into the field or even in the field. Okay. All right.
The wording was killing me.
Your what?
To be honest with you.
The wording. Which one?
Yeah, because it hold on. Not mitigated. Mitigated. No benign or something like that. That was driving me crazy.
Like in the executive insights and stuff. No mitigated threats. No not mitigated threats. Now the thing is, I think what we need to do is go back and take this. Is this actually the correct terminology, or is this something that SentinelOne is doing that's really awkward? The reality is, it could actually be the best and way to phrase that. But that's something, when I see something like that that challenges and sounds weird to me, before I just dismiss it, I do try to take things back and do some research and kind of make sure I understand. Maybe they were right. They're a smart company. Maybe we're wrong, right? So anybody else?
I mean, I get it because it's saying no mitigated threats, right?
Yeah.
And no not mitigated threats. So if we look at the console typically just says mitigated threats, not mitigated threats, and then marked as benign. So it's basically saying there's none of these for each category.
Correct.
If you went to the well, you don't have any data in there, do you?
Well, I do. I don't want to go there because I know. So a lot of times I try to set these videos up not to expose too much from our console.
Right. Okay.
So I hadn't really sanitized it so to know. But yeah, if they can watch the previous video, go back to the incidents video. Right. I think there's maybe 6 or 5 or something like that. But go back to that video and watch it if you want to know the details. But yeah, it is not mitigated. It's a status. So you're saying no of the not mitigated status. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. Pierre and Jabari, man, anything from y'all?
How far back can you create a report? How far back can you create a report?
How far back? All right, so you get a custom period that you can choose here. Let's see if we can go back in the time zone. Man, looks like I'm already back in February. See, I know I don't have any data from that time period, but looks like I can. Essentially, it lets you go back, but I don't think I think at a certain point, you're going to get past the retention policy for this console. Okay. So, I mean, I would say best practices, you may get 90 days of retention time with a lot of these products. So,
I was going to say.
Yeah. So,
can you create a report for 90 days now to see how it looks?
Say it again. Well,
can you create a report for 90 days right now to see how it looks, or you don't want to expose it?
Well, I mean, I can do that, but like I said, I mean, yeah, I could do that, but I'm not going to do it in the video. We're too late to the video now.
All right.
Yeah, so
nah.
No, I'm just saying because people are not going to want me to sit there and go through and generate all these reports. You know what I'm saying? Watch this. So
one report. I'm gonna take the other one. Yeah.
But yeah, you can do that. I hope they got the gist of it. All right, Jabari, any questions for you?
No questions. Just mostly a comment. I guess you can reduce reports and have them for like say you have to.
You got somebody got an echo, Jabari. Test.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Jabari.
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, yeah. I look like it's like for reports, like say you're in a SOC or MSSP, and then you give reports for like your customers, stuff like that. It's pretty cool how you can have that. Like you do your own report and you have this data to back it up. So it's pretty good.
Yeah,
and it's very formatted for everyone to understand. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, they did pretty decent. I mean, so it's once again, it's good because if you're working for, like since we work for MSSP, we got a lot of companies, so we have our own reporting that we provide. But if you're just working for just a company and you're part of the internal security team, then these type of reports definitely come in handy quite a bit. So even as an MSSP, these reports come in handy, so. All right, Sam, anything for you? Are you incognito?
No, nothing for me.
Nothing for Sam. Okay. All right. Well, folks, that's it. Let's see what is the official time. We're at 22 minutes and 21 seconds. All right. So anyway, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm providing great content, and I got some more stuff that's even better or the same, or, it'll be essentially, it's got to be better because as I do this, I should be getting better each video. So anyway, stay tuned. More stuff from the industry. Once again, I'm literally going through and showing you exactly the type of things that I do, and I'm actually learning things that I'm actually implementing on a job, because there's certain things you do on your job that you may not, that I could do in this console as I'm testing. I'm like, man, like we haven't had a chance to use that. So essentially, by me working and grinding on my own, and once again, you all should be grinding on your own and practicing your skills. It's helping me to level up in my day job. So anyway, my name is Kendrick. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit the like button. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe to the channel.